Just because you grew up, got a job, got married, and had a family, doesn't mean you have to get one of those, introducing Odyssey. With 4 doors and an easy fold-away rear seat. It's not just a minivan, it's a Honda.
You're watching Coin TV, Channel 6. This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rabin and Connie Chung. Good evening. Rising tension among attorneys and the judge at the O.J. Simpson murder trial exploded in the courtroom this afternoon. The judge wound up citing one of the prosecuting attorneys for contempt of court before the dispute was finally resolved without actual sanctions. Correspondent Bill Whitaker joins us from Los Angeles Superior Court. Bill?
Dan, defense attorney Johnny Cochran was continuing with his cross-examination of Detective Tom Lang when, after repeated objections by the prosecution, Judge Ito called all the attorneys in for a sidebar discussion. It was animated, apparently heated. Judge Ito at one point wagging his finger at prosecutor Christopher Darden, and obviously irritated Ito, ordered the jury out and the camera off. When the camera turned back on, Ito lashed out at Darden for an outburst the attorney had made at sidebar and said he was going to cite Darden for contempt of court.
I've cited you. Do you have any response?
I would like counsel, Your Honor.
What we are all concerned about here, Your Honor, is that there is a method of cross-examination that is being conducted by Mr. Cochran.
That's not what I'm interested in, Ms. Clark.
That is what led to
I don't want to hear
the
this.
exchange at sidebar, Your Honor. Mr.
No, Ms. Clark, I don't want to hear about that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the refusal to avoid, the refusal to obey the court's order, not to address that issue, not to speak to the court, as I was hearing from one counsel, not to interrupt the court. And the court gave 3 admonitions, and Mr. Darden chose to ignore those. That's an opportunity to get up and say, gee, I'm sorry, I lost my head there. I apologize to the court, I apologize to counsel. When you get that response, then we move on. When you tell the court you want to have an order to show cause, that's a different response. That says you want to fight. You want to fight some more with the court? You're welcome to do so.
Judge Ito ordered a recess and told everyone to take 10 deep breaths. When they came back, Darden sounded conciliatory.
I apologize. Mr. Darden, I accept your apology. I apologize to you for my reaction as well.
The jury was out of the courtroom and heard none of the fireworks. Perhaps the long hours are getting to everyone. Judge Ito did announce earlier that starting Monday, court sessions will be shorter. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Democrats file a new ethics charge against Newt Gingrich, the speaker and the cable connection coming up. Also tonight, a special eye on America, affirmative action. Some say it's still the right remedy for past discrimination. But in 1995, affirmative action is in the line of fire. You'll see both sides.
This helps diagnose arthritis. To effectively relieve the minor pain of arthritis, use this, Advil. Advil works directly at the site of pain. It's fast and gentler to your stomach than aspirin. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Wow. No. I couldn't. Or could I? I know. How about just the bell? Whatever the look you're after, I couldn't. Special K is a great help at achieving it. Great toasted taste, just 110 calories and fat-free. Well, maybe just around the house. Kellogg's Special K. Great taste never looks so good. Or maybe around the block.
What do people think of these Sunsweet orange and lemon essence pitted prunes?
I love lemons. So they smell like oranges. I like these a lot. Orange essence excites me. Lemon flavored prunes, they're wonderful. These are really good. What did Barbara Mandrell think?
Actually, I love them both.
U.S. Marines are massed and ready off the coast of Somalia tonight, and once again, they're under U.S. command. It's just like Operation Restore Hope, the U.S. landing in 1992, except this time all hope has been abandoned. The U.S. and the UN are giving up and getting out of Somalia. Correspondent Alan Pizzi is there for the final retreat from the shores of Mogadishu.
Somali militias looted this port on a daily basis before the UN took it over, and they'll do it again as soon as the U.S. Marines pull the UN out.
What could happen? I mean, it could be wholesale looting.
The operation is called United Shield because it involves the UN and coalition forces from 7 countries. 2,000 U.S. Marines and a few hundred Italians will establish an impenetrable barrier between the Somalis and the beach the Americans first hit 2 years ago. Then the UN troops will pull back through them. Somali militiamen and crowds hungry to loot whatever is left behind are already surging at the edge of the last UN redoubt. Today, a crowd of about 2,000 people demonstrated against what they called intervention. Mobs and spillover violence from gang warfare are seen as the biggest potential threat. U.S. commanders have assurances from major warlords that they will not attack the operation, but they know promises aren't worth much here.
The force that's assembled off the shore is a formidable force that can deal with any resistance that we might meet here.
The end of the effort to save Somalia will be backed up by weapons never seen here before. The U.S. says it's not looking for trouble, just letting everyone know not to start any. The troops also have rules of engagement that they think will let them react to any situation.
If they provoke us, if there is what we determine to be hostile intent or hostile actions taken toward us, we will respond and respond appropriately and respond in a way that eliminates the threat to our people and our mission.
If the U.S. Marines do manage to close down this UN operation without serious incident, it will be called a victory. And whatever happens after that will be up to the Somalis. The world, it seems, is tired of trying to fix this place up. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Mogadishu.
The Somalia mission has cast a long shadow over another U.S. intervention in Haiti. U.S. troops went into Haiti last fall to oust a military regime and restore the elected president. But now the Americans are preparing to leave, and many Haitians worry that, in the end, they'll be no better off. Today, former President Jimmy Carter, who helped to negotiate the peaceful landing in September, returned to check on the progress since then. CBS News correspondent David Martin also went back to Haiti. He reports from one town where U.S. troops made a difference for a while.
In the small town of Limbe, American soldiers are starting all over again.
What's wrong?
For 5 months, this Special Forces team had brought law and order to this market town.
We hadn't had any major crime other than go to cow thieves.
And it was time to see if Limbe's police could go it alone.
Our plan was just to kind of sneak out of here for 24 hours and come back and see if everything was working well, because the system seemed like it was running well.
But everything was not all right. Just 18 hours after U.S. soldiers pulled out of this town, a gang of thugs formed up in the marketplace here and stormed the police station over there, killing one Haitian policeman and badly beating another one.
It was just a handful of people that wanted to do things probably like they used to before we ever got here. We've been laying low since we've been here.
When the Americans came back to check on Limbe, they found a town in fear.
It was empty. There was nobody on the streets. There was nobody in the front porches. There were houses. We knew as soon as we came in and the town was as dead as it was that something wasn't right.
They quickly took back the streets, but plans for the U.S. to pull out of Limbe anytime soon had to be scrapped.
The bad part about that is, that shows some of the dependence on us, which makes it that much harder for them to stand up on their own.
As long as the Special Forces are here, the criminals will remain in hiding.
They're not dumb. They don't want to, they don't want to brace an American straight up. They don't want to take us on face to face.
But the Clinton administration plans to pull the U.S. military out of Haiti in less than a year.
Sooner or later, we're going to come out. We're going to leave. That's a known fact. And when we do, this country's going to be ripe again.
Ripe for reprisals against Haitians who have been too friendly with the Americans. This young man already has been threatened with death.
That's one tactic that the criminals who are guilty of this crime are using to try and prevent the people from coming forward and standing up for justice.
What happened in Limbe is one violent outbreak in one small town, but it is a cautionary tale.
To think that this is the only time it's going to happen is kind of naive. It's going to happen again.
And a disappointing tale.
Do you feel like you've taken 2 steps forward and 1 step back?
2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
Really? It's all like starting all over again.
Hey, we're in the same situation right now as we were September 26th. when we first came in here.
5 months of work undone in one troubled town that cannot afford to take many steps back. David Martin, CBS News, Limbay.
President Clinton arrived in Ottawa, Canada today for a two-day summit. On his first official visit there, Mr. Clinton thanked Canada for its strong support of UN peacekeeping operations overseas, an implied dig at Republicans back home who oppose the UN peacekeeping forces. Back in this country on Capitol Hill, Republicans underscored their opposition to U.S. involvement in United Nations peacekeeping. In a committee vote today, House Republicans refused to approve Mr. Clinton's request for an additional $672 million to support those UN operations this year.
Gas. When bloating, pain, and pressure tie you in knots, don't make the antacid mistake. Take this little pill instead. Maximum Strength Phazine. There's more gas relief in one Phazine soft gel than in a whole bottle of regular Maalox. All this Maalox can't get rid of gas, but with the liquid medicine in just one Phazine, the gas is gone. Take Phazine, and the gas is gone.
I'm about to perform an amazing act. Something that was virtually impossible for me to do just a short while ago. The act of breathing, made possible by Tavis D.
Now you can breathe easier. Prescription strength Tavis D's got the medicine proven to relieve tough congestion. So for the next 12 hours...
I will not sneeze. My sinuses are clear. I can breathe easier.
Breathe easier with Tavis D.
There's nothing else like it.
Wait till you hear this. Tonight at Red Lobster, 15 shrimp and a sizzling steak for just $10.99. Come in now for tempting fried shrimp, savory scampi, and a juicy steak, plus bread and salad. A complete meal, but it's only for a short time. So hurry to Red Lobster. Enjoy 15 luscious shrimp and a tender steak for just $10.99. An offer so good, it's unheard of.
Does he look like a crook to you? He worked for NASA till he got caught in an elaborate FBI sting and turned informer.
They essentially made me an offer I could not refuse.
What was the FBI looking for in the heart of the Johnson Space Center? Now it's your turn to go inside Operation Lightning Strike. Eye on America tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
A historic day on Wall Street. Stock prices soared on the hope that we've seen the last of interest rate hikes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 30 points, closing above 4,000 for the first time ever. The NASDAQ Composite Index gained more than 3 points.
Democrats and Republicans in Congress squared off for battle today in the House Ethics Committee. The focus of the fight, ethical questions, some old, some new, about House Speaker Newt Gingrich. Our chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has the latest.
As the House Ethics Committee gathered for a closed session to consider a range of ethics complaints Democrats have already filed against Speaker Gingrich, Democrats added a new one.
I'm going to ask you by next week to tell us what...
That when a cable company agreed to broadcast Gingrich's college lectures free of charge, that amounted, according to the complaint, to an illegal gift in the neighborhood of $150,000 to $200,000. An outrage, said Democrats.
And you have a serious ethical questions that need to be answered.
The cable company, which broadcasts the lectures to 26 million homes, is part of a conglomerate owned by Glenn Jones of Denver, one of the nation's largest cable operators and part of an industry closely regulated by Congress.
We're not supposed to take gifts from anybody that we're overseeing. Clearly, the cable industry has stacks of issues in front of this body, and the Speaker is a very important player on all of those.
A spokesman for the company pointed out it also broadcasts lectures from other colleges, doesn't charge them anything, and wasn't trying to influence anyone. A furious Gingrich said losing their majority had given Democrats psychological problems.
Paul, I know it's shocking if you're a Democrat to not be in a majority for the first time in 40 years, but, you know, get a life, grow up.
His sharpest words were for Schroeder, who has also criticized some Republicans for sleeping in their offices.
In the case of that particular Democrat, she's worried about where members sleep at night. I mean, at what point does their control fetish break down?
With complaints about his book deal and allegations that he has misused staff already on file with the Ethics Committee, it's hard to know how seriously they'll take this latest allegation. But Gingrich filed these same kinds of complaints against Democrats when they were in the majority, so don't expect them to let up now. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
The chances for Senate approval of a key piece of the Republican legislative agenda are vastly improved today. It's the proposal to change the Constitution with an amendment to require a balanced federal budget. Today, two influential Senate Democrats, Tom Harkin of Iowa and Joe Biden of Delaware, said they will vote yes. The Senate vote is expected next week.
Quote, all things bright and beautiful, all creatures, great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all, unquote. Those lines from an old hymn became the titles of 4 best-selling books by James Herriot about his experiences as a country veterinarian. James Herriot died today at home in England. He was 78. Mel Franklin, the booming, deep-voiced member of the hugely popular Motown sound group The Temptations, died today in Los Angeles of heart failure. Mel Franklin was 52. The Temptations had a string of #1 hits, including My Girl.
I'll probably never forget that night. It was the middle of the night. My stomach was on fire. I was scared. And when I got to the doctor, I thought he'd give me a prescription. You know what my doctor said? My doctor said Mylanta.
For occasional heartburn and acid indigestion, doctors recommend Mylanta most, even over prescription drugs.
No prescription. My doctor said Mylanta.
People are much more satisfied than they have been in the past. Now with quality care standards, we have some guidelines to follow. This is what the customers want. They want to have their appointment within a day. They want to have their car fixed right the first time. This is them speaking. Anything we can do to make it better. It's not just meeting the standards that people are setting for us, but exceeding them. Something we're doing is working.
Quality care people, quality care standards at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer.
For light bladder control protection, Poise pads from Depend are small, like the leading maxi pads, but they absorb 50% more and lock liquid in so you get the right size, right protection. Poise pads and new Poise guards give you the freedom to be yourself. Go ahead.
Hyperkeratosis? Symptom: persistent, itchy, flaky scalp. Solution: Neutrogena T-Gel. It works. Neutrogena T-Gel Shampoo.
Fibercon or Metamucil? Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
Her son was left with her ex-husband's girlfriend. She never saw him alive again. Who killed Evan? Find out on 48 Hours tonight.
It's one of the hottest and most divisive issues in the country. The future of the civil rights policy called affirmative action. Laws and programs that under some circumstances give preference to minorities and women, partly to make up for past discrimination, partly to open up new opportunities. They're under serious attack in the Republican-controlled Congress. Tonight, in a special 2-part Eye on America, both sides of the debate. First, correspondent Peter Van Sant, with those who say in 1995 affirmative action is still a must.
I thought I ought to check on the new government contract.
The workplace of the 1950s. For some, these were the good old days. White shirts, white men.
How many Negroes do we have employed as machine operators? Almost none, I'd say.
Women and minorities either ran the elevator...
Good morning, Mr. Lane.
...or served the boss.
And I have your plane ticket.
Then came 1961, when President Kennedy signed a bill which called on business to take affirmative action to hire minorities. A social revolution was born.
I hope that I'm an example of the best of affirmative action. I never would be where I am today had it not been for that.
Dr. Levi Watkins is an affirmative action pioneer. In 1966, he was also a brave man, the first African-American to enter Vanderbilt University's medical school.
Patients talk to you as if you weren't human. faculty that still use the nigger words? Is it pressure? Yes, it was pressure.
Dr. Watkins went on to become the first black resident in a sea of white faces at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, where today he is a respected cardiac surgeon.
You look good for one day after open heart surgery.
And opponent of those who say a kinder, more tolerant America no longer needs affirmative action.
We would have to depend on morality, and that's not quite ready yet. Affirmative action is a positive catalyst. And sometimes it takes out a catalyst to bring out morality.
Advocates say there's no arguing that affirmative action creates opportunities for thousands of women and minorities who for generations found the door to success padlocked.
I'd like to dedicate this spacewalk, my first spacewalk as an African American, and as...
There are blacks and women in space, in the president's cabinet, in high-powered courtrooms, running police departments, and building our cities. Companies are finding that servicing a multiracial society requires multiracial employees.
Well, I'm an affirmative action baby.
Lynn Povich is the editor-in-chief of Working Woman magazine. 25 years ago, Povich was going nowhere as a researcher at Newsweek. On the day this cover story hit the streets, Povich and a group of women staffers revolted, filing a sex discrimination lawsuit. Povich later became Newsweek's first woman senior editor.
I got that job because they had to fill an affirmative action slot. Now, was I also good? I think so. But there is no question I would have never been offered that job if we had not sued Newsweek.
It permitted people who were not permitted to be a part of, quote, mainstream society to get a toehold in it.
Author Ellis Coase says that while affirmative action has transformed our society, it's too soon to pull the plug.
How much longer do you think we need affirmative action in this country? Well, I think we're always going to need some policies which ensure we don't discriminate, and I don't see an end to that within the foreseeable future.
Supporters of affirmative action say Republican attempts to scuttle it are a blatant play for white votes, and that calls for a colorblind society are code for a return to an America better left in the past. In Washington, I'm Peter Van Sant for Eye on America.
In just a moment, the other side of the story, Americans who are fed up with affirmative action.
But ask any fireman who's been around 20 years, he'll tell you, I got to do more work because she's not doing any work.
The people who brought you pumps you can play basketball in have created a whole new shoe. Just ask the Egg. Easy Spirit introduces the new Easy Spirit, our most comfortable dress shoe ever. Easy Spirit's new surprise.
Mom, it's snowing!
I repeat, all public schools will be open today.
Oh, better hurry. Most moms don't have a lot of time in the morning, but all it takes is a moment to let them know you love them. All it takes is a moment to make them instant Quaker oatmeal instead of cold cereal. Low-fat, whole-grain, hot nutrition in flavors your kids will love. Instant Quaker oatmeal instead of cold cereal. First 2 minutes. For moms who have a lot of love, but not a lot of time.
I know turkey. Very tasty.
Yeah, it's just really good.
Delicious.
Louis Rich. That's my dream turkey sandwich.
Louis Rich carving board turkey?
It reminds me of Thanksgiving.
Can I take another bite?
Switch to Rich. Louis Rich. It's today's taste.
Louis Rich. It rivals Grandma.
They created a personal computer, and the world has been moving at a different speed ever since. They put them into classrooms and created the first generation of computer-literate children. Then they gave computer users the freedom to work anywhere. And now they're ready to take us into the future with the most powerful personal computer Apple has ever made. Where do you find companies that refuse to stop at success? Actually, there's a list of them printed every day. NASDAQ, the stock market for the next 100 years.
Ladies, if you've got heartburn...
And Dose for Dose Tums Ultra neutralizes more acid than my Lanta regular strength.
And Tums Ultra has calcium, something your body needs anyway. Which do you choose?
Ultra.
Affirmative action has been a policy of every American presidential administration from Kennedy to Clinton. A moment ago, you heard the case for continuing it Now the other side. Those who argue that affirmative action does much more damage than good. Correspondent Jerry Bowen reports part 2 of tonight's special Eye on America.
If you want to hear what's wrong with affirmative action in America, come to Colorado, where Adirondack Company workers are putting up guardrails, and the company's white owner is still fuming over the job that got away. The government job he was low bidder on, but lost to a Hispanic competitor.
It's very hard to go home at night and not be really pissed off about the whole situation. And when my children ask, you know, what's wrong today, Dad? Well, I didn't get a job because I wasn't the right color today.
Or go to San Francisco, where a veteran firefighter bemoans the court-ordered recruiting program.
We're under the gender police. Ask any fireman who's been around 20 years, he'll tell you, I got to do more work because she's not doing any work.
Some white firemen are grumbling about the change that's made their department 1/3 female and minority. Your objections also sound sexist and racist.
I expected that. But it's not sexist and racist to expect people to come into this job and be able to perform like I perform, like every guy I know performs.
Consider the argument of a University of California regent who wants to outlaw affirmative action in the university system altogether.
Clark, Connerly.
Here. A black regent.
It's a dead duck. It's lost the support of the American people.
A businessman who believes preferential treatment is offensive.
We think that somehow people are judging us, not by what we accomplish, but they're judging us with what is perceived to be something we were given by our society. And that's offensive.
The objections are not new, but the level of public debate is. The fact that affirmative action is being challenged so openly on such a wide front is another measure of the frustration.
What we have in place increasingly in California and around the nation is a very blatant system of racial and ethnic bean counting.
In California, 2 college professors have emerged as the unlikely leaders of a movement to effectively repeal state affirmative action laws. They call it the California Civil Rights Initiative. It's likely to be on the ballot in 1996.
The question is, how far into the future are you going to carry this thing for what happened in the past?
There are those who contend this is one of those angry white men proposals.
It's indisputable that white men are often the targets and the victims of preferential policies.
Because of that white resentment, University Regent Ward Connerly believes affirmative action now creates more problems than it solves.
If I can select you because of your race, I can also reject you because of your race.
The Board of Regents votes in June on whether to keep affirmative action, and soon the U.S. Supreme Court will rule on the Colorado guardrail case.
It's violating my constitutional rights.
Opponents are already writing the epitaph.
Affirmative action had a wonderful original intent. Equal shot for everybody. Equal spot on the starting line for everybody. Not equal outcome at the end of the race.
It changed the way America dealt with race, the way Americans looked at one another. But after 25 years, it's become, say critics, a change for the worse. In San Francisco, this is Jerry Bowen for Eye on America.
Finally tonight, news from our own network. Howard Stringer resigned today as president of the CBS Broadcast Group. He had 30 years here, working his way up from log clerk to the top. He's leaving now to lead a new media and technology enterprise created by 3 telephone companies. Succeeding Howard as president will be longtime broadcaster and veteran CBS executive Peter Lund. Later tonight, one of the programs Howard created, 48 Hours. I'll see you on 48 Hours at 10, 9 Central.